The powerful have always known something that the rest of us haven't. The hungriest revolutions in history didn't start on the battlefield. They started at the dinner table. And they are not afraid of your anger, but they are deeply afraid of the moment you understand exactly why you are hungry. That moment is now. The topic is Iran, the topic is war, and every headline, every breaking news alert, every emergency press conference right now is talking about one thing: oil. The White House is talking about oil. CNBC is talking about oil. Every screen, every scroll, oil, oil, oil. But here's what nobody is fully telling you. Yes, the United States and Israel triggered this when they attacked a sovereign nation. Yes, Iran has threatened and has effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz. Ships have been hit. People have died. The danger is very real. But the mechanism that actually paralyzed global shipping, that wasn't a missile. That wasn't Iran. That was London. And the food crisis that just quietly started won't show up in your grocery store until September. By then, nobody will remember this week, but you will. Here's the thing about the Strait of Hormuz. It's 21 miles wide. It's legally open to international navigation, and it is effectively shut. Now, let's be clear about the sequence of events because it matters. The United States and Israel struck Iran. A sovereign nation was attacked. Iran's response was to threaten the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, the single most important shipping lane on the planet. And then things escalated fast. On March the 1st, an oil tanker was struck by a projectile north of Kasab, near the strait's entrance. 2 crew members were killed. Another vessel was hit by a drone boat. An explosion in the engine room. A crew member dead. A container ship off the UAE coast was struck by an unknown projectile, causing oil leakage. A tugboat sent to assist a damaged vessel was then hit by missiles. More crew members killed. Iran has deployed naval mines and mine-laying boats in the strait. The US military destroyed around 16 of those vessels, trying to prevent a full blockade. Iran has also launched a large number of missiles and drones toward Gulf states, the UAE, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia. Most were intercepted, but the threat is constant, and it is real. At one point, ship traffic through the strait dropped by 70%. So yes, the US and Israel struck first. Iran retaliated. Ships have been attacked. People have died. And the entire region is on edge. But here's the layer nobody is talking about. Iran didn't need to sink a single supertanker to shut down global shipping. Because the moment the first ship got hit, Lloyd's of London made the decision for every captain on Earth. The oldest insurance market on the planet. They cancelled war risk coverage for tankers operating in the region. And when a supertanker loses its insurance, it doesn't matter if the water is technically open, or if there are ships protecting it, or if there's an element nearby safeguarding it. Without insurance, ships don't sail. For a single supertanker with a hull value of 100 million, the weekly insurance bill went from 250,000 to 100 million per week. The math killed the voyage before any further missile could. Iran issued the threat, but the actuaries in London pulled the plug on global trade. And right now, over 150 tankers are sitting still outside the strait, fully loaded, going nowhere. 1 crude tanker has passed, 0 LNG carriers. The strait is physically navigable and commercially dead. The world's most strategic waterway wasn't closed by a navy. It was closed by a spreadsheet. Now here's where it gets serious. Qatar is the world's largest exporter of liquefied natural gas, LNG. They supply 20% of all global LNG, and every single shipment leaves through the Strait of Hormuz. Europe abandoned Russia gas in 2022 and rebuilt its entire winter energy system around Qatar. Japan, South Korea, India gets 40% of its LNG Qatar alone. On March the 1st, Qatar Energy issued 2 words that sent shockwaves through every energy ministry on Earth. Force majeure. 2 words that in legal terms mean, we don't have to deliver. You can't sue us. Goodbye. That's 75 million tons of LNG per year across contracts with Europe, Asia, India, Korea, all suspended in 2 words. The result? Dutch gas prices spiked 52% in a single day, the largest one-day jump since Russia invaded Ukraine. British gas up 48%. Asia LNG benchmark up 39%. No bombing needed, no pipeline sabotage. 2 words from a company in Doha. and every European energy ministry was awake at 2 a.m. Now, here's the part that CNN isn't covering, the BBC isn't covering, Bloomberg isn't covering. The real story isn't oil. The real story isn't even gas. The real story is a molecule, and that molecule is called ammonia. In 1909, two German chemists figured out how to pull nitrogen straight from the air and turn it into fertilizer. The process is called the Haber-Bosch process. It won the Nobel Prize, and many historians consider it the greatest invention in human history. Here's what nobody tells you. Without it, half the world's population cannot be fed. Not historically, I mean right now, today. And here's how it connects to everything we've just talked about. To make ammonia, you need natural gas. Natural gas becomes ammonia, ammonia becomes urea, and urea is the most widely used fertilizer on the planet. 33% of all globally traded fertilizer passes through the Strait of Hormuz. The same strait where ships are now being attacked and where insurance underwriters just priced everyone else out the market. Qatar Energy's force majeure didn't just stop LNG shipments, it halted urea production. It stopped ammonia output, methanol, polymers. Ras Laffan Industrial City, the largest LNG and petrochemical complex on the entire planet, is now running at partial capacity. The oil crisis is on every screen. The fertilizer crisis is not on any screen. Here's why this crisis is invisible and why it's more dangerous because of it. Oil prices change overnight. You feel them at the pump tomorrow. Fertilizer shocks don't work like that. The crop planted in April 2026 only harvests in September. The price spike from the week arrives in your grocery store in 6 months. Most people will never connect it back to this moment. And it gets worse because it's March 2026. That means in the Northern Hemisphere, it's spring planting season. This is when farmers buy their fertilizers, not in summer, not in autumn, but right now. American farmers, European farmers, Indian farmers, all buying right now into a market that just lost a third of its global supply. Before the war, urea was $466 per ton. This week, it hit $590 per ton. That's a 124 jump in just 3 days. Traders on record are saying potentially hundreds of dollars more coming in the next few weeks. Qatar, Iran, and UAE, three of the world's largest ammonia exporters. All three Hormuz dependent, all three disrupted. Now consider a mid-sized American corn farm, 500 acres. Normal spring fertilizer bill, around $80,000. At the current trajectory, roughly $130,000. That's a $50,000 difference. That's literally the farm. In 2025, before this week even happened, 15,000 American farms closed or consolidated. 315 filed for Chapter 12 bankruptcy. That's a 46% jump in just 1 year on farm closures, on the start of the food chain. So who pays for all of that? Well, not the oil companies. They're up barrel for barrel. And it's not the defense contractors. They're literally printing money. And it's not the politicians. They benefit from these contracts. They eat the same whether something costs $4, $8, or $80. Who really hurts is the Egyptian family whose government bread subsidy is funded by a state that can no longer afford the wheat. It's the Nigerian farmer who can't afford urea for the third consecutive planting season. It's the American family that doesn't understand why groceries cost 30% more than they did a year ago. Nobody will tell them that this week is the reason. Nobody connected the fertilizer chain to the Hormuz closure, to the American farmer, to your grocery bill in September, because doing so would require reading a Lloyd's Maritime brief, a Qatar Energy force majeure notice, a USDA farm bankruptcy report, and an agricultural commodity index, all at the same time. The people paid to explain this to the world have not done their work. Journalism has failed us. So now you know what's coming. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Because here's the reality. You cannot control the Strait of Hormuz. You cannot reverse a force majeure. You cannot stop fertilizer prices from spiking. But you can control one thing. That's what your income looks like when September arrives. Most people will wait. They'll feel the squeeze at the checkout 6 months from now. They'll complain about it, and they'll go back to hoping that things get better. That's most people's default setting. But some people, the ones paying attention right now, are going to use this window, this gap between now and September, 6 months to build something, an extra stream of income, an online hustle, a cash flow structure that means a 30% spike in groceries is uncomfortable, but not catastrophic. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to take over your life, but it does have to start now, because the people who are comfortable in September are the ones who made a decision in March. If you want to know specifically how to set up, what structures actually work, what online income models are realistic for where you are right now, send me a DM. Seriously, I work with people on exactly this, building simple, sustainable cash flow solutions that fit around your life. The information age means the gap between knowing and doing is smaller than it has ever been. So you just got the knowing. Now it's time with the doing. DM me for more.